What's up? Welcome to Birdman on the Mountains Community Shout. I'm Garrett Moldrem, your host, and with me this morning I have Michelle with Firehouse Subs.
Hello, how are you?
I'm doing great.
Good.
So what's going on?
Well, I am here today to talk about 3 of our new subs that we have just introduced at Firehouse Subs. The first one is a Nashville hot brisket. So if you have not come out to try it yet, you have to, especially if you like hot, spicy food. It's a sub for you. So it'll come with, of course, our brisket. It has a Nashville hot seasoning, spicy pickles, a pepper jack cheese, and a really good tangy coleslaw. It also comes on a cornbread roll, which is kind of like a sweet cornbread roll. The pairing is really good with that. So.
Well, always on our show, we try to have, like community events that benefit the community and stuff. And I think this is probably one of the most benefiting community events ever, is just more food.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. We do have, the state of Arizona is also testing 2 new subs with Firehouse Subs. It is a chicken arrow. And then we also have, for those who are more vegetarian, a really good Mediterranean vegetable, sub. So it's really good. It has feta cheese with it, roasted red peppers. It has the pepper jack cheese. So, come on out and give it a try.
Now, again, speaking of community-related stuff, Firehouse gives back to the community in huge ways. You want to talk about that?
We do, for our customers, all we have to do is say thank you, because without you guys donating, upping and doing the roundup, donating into our Public Safety Foundation box, you can purchase our pickled up buckets for about $3. Without you doing that, we would not be able to provide and help support the public safety responders like we do. We've had, just in this year, 3 grant awards. I have to look at them here. We had the Timber Mesa, which we gave about $14,000 to them for their 5 Altair gas detectors and accessories. The Springerville Police Department, we did 7 ballistic shields that were over $4,000, and then we just awarded to the Greer Fire Department, and this is crazy, but it was over $35,000 for them, and it was the TNT Storm extractor equipment, which is the spreader, the cutter, the combi tool, the ram, and all the accessories that go with that. So that was really exciting.
It's crazy to think that, maybe this was just adding more equipment, but to think that there's fire stations that don't even have all the equipment that they need.
Yeah, it's very true.
So
very true.
What a great thing that
you
guys are able to.
Chris and Robin Sorensen, who are the founders of Firehouse Subs, they saw that need because they are themselves former firefighters. And so they know that there are communities out there that they don't have anything. And so they started this Public Safety Foundation really in honor of their father, who was also, a fireman. It's just kind of spread like wildfire, really. I mean, it's been pretty good.
So anything else you want to mention on the show?
No, I think that's about it. I just really want to invite everybody out, give our new subs a try. I think you're going to be really pleased. Right now, just across the menu board, we have a great flavor palette. So
great. Well, you all know where to go for lunch.
Absolutely. Come on down to Firehouse Subs.
Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Hey, still here in the studio, and with me now is Sandra Anjelo with Family Advocacy Center.
Hi.
How you doing?
Just fine, thank you. I thought that I'd come today for 2 reasons. One is to share with you a little bit about the statistics of our Advocacy Center, and then the other is to remind people about our upcoming fundraiser.
Awesome. So statistics first, then fundraiser?
Yeah, let's talk about statistics first. The Navajo County Family Advocacy Center, even though our title is Navajo County, we also serve victims from Apache County, because otherwise they'd have to go to Coconino County or down to Gila County, and we're right next door. And, there are so few services available for people up here, that if we share services, all the better. So what I wanted to just mention today is, since the Family Advocacy Center opened in 2011 here in Shiloh, and then in 2014 we opened another center up in Holbrook, we have seen over 1,300 clients. That's a lot of abused children.
Yeah, I was like, oh, that's great. And then I was like, wait, no, that's terrible. Good that you're able to help them, though.
It's a good news, bad news scenario.
Yeah.
It's a bad news scenario in that we're needed. It's a good news scenario in that our numbers are up because more people are aware of us and what we do. There's more trust in the community that identifies these children. And so we have a lot more children coming to us, and we can make a difference, a positive difference for them. 65% of our victims are 13 years of age or younger. So we're talking really young children. In 2018, 70% of our victims were female, but 30% were male. Many of our victims were special needs, particularly as we get into the older victims. And that's really ugly when you think about someone who has some limitations and being preyed upon. 70% of our victims are white, 15% are Native Americans, 11% are Hispanic, and 4% are others. And these numbers that I'm giving you are for our specific facility, because we have a brochure that gives national averages, but this is real hard data that we've collected. And 60% of the people that we see are disadvantaged. They're low income, they get access or food stamps, which is now called SNAP. And 7 out of 10 of our victims have been sexually abused. Some of them have just been neglected or physically abused, but 70% are sexually abused. We are a qualifying tax organization, so at the end of the year, if you are looking for some place to spend your $400 or your $800 if you're married, our hands up in the air, please think of us. Okay, we operate, as I've told you before, primarily on fundraisers, donations, and grants. So, upcoming, we have a cornhole tournament. And we're calling it, because this is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, we're calling it Tossing Out Domestic Violence.
Awesome.
It's going to be held at the house. They are our partners in this one. The Cornhole tournament is October 20th. We're going to start about 2 o'clock. We also will have a karaoke event going on between 5 and 7, because watching people throw beanbags at boards can, at least for someone like me, get a little boring.
Yeah.
So we thought we'd inject a little bit of additional fun for the other people who are going to be there. The house will be selling street tacos, so there'll be food and beverage available. We have a 50-50 raffle going on, and it should just be a good time out in the yard at the house.
All right. Well, anything else for me?
Not today.
Okay.
I'm just focused on my upcoming fundraiser on the 20th, 2 o'clock at the house.
Definitely. Well, we hope to see you all there. Thanks for being on the show.
Thank you.
Well, earlier we had Firehouse Subs. Now we have the real Firehouse, not a sub like the teacher, like the principal. It's Captain Kirk, Webb, Timber Mesa, Fire and Medical, Community Risk Manager. I was just trying to drag out that title as long as I could.
I know, it's my sister, when I first got this position, she goes, man, you don't have a chest big enough for that. So that's why we put it down as initials. And then she turns around and tells me, well, your stomach is big enough. I'm like, well, thanks a lot. I've lost some.
That'd be a great T-shirt.
Yeah. But
so we got a couple of things going on. Let's maybe first talk about Spooktacular and those things.
Yeah, so City of Shiloh has the Spooktacular coming up, and which that's kind of a stretched out stuff going on. They got vendors. I think they have bands playing, so it's a big community event. And then about 5 o'clock, I believe, is when they start their trunk or treat portion of Spooktacular. It goes on till like 8 o'clock or something like that. And then the town of Pinetop Lakeside, that same day, October 26th, that Saturday, they're doing their trunk or treat at the Mountain Meadows Recreation Center. And I believe theirs starts at 5:30. I know we'll be there setting up a little bit earlier, and we work in conjunction with Pinetop Fire to set up our little booth and to hand out candy and things like that. So, but it's good events, and in a way, I think I'm glad that it's both the same night, because I think last year or the year before, I can't remember, it was they were on different nights, and the lines were just huge.
Yeah, it is better that there's more options, but on the same night, because then everyone's gonna hit both nights, and it's
right. So it's kind of, you got to choose one or the other, because the lines were long, and and it was a lot of fun. And we have a little air up haunted house. And we had some good scaring going on with that thing, and
Nice.
we kept it simple and calm for when we were paying attention to, if the kids were really getting too terrified, we calm it down a little bit, but there were some other kids that they wanted, and so it was kind of fun messing around with the kids and just giving them a fright, and so, but then they got the candy after the fact, and some of them, man, they had their buckets full, so.
Well, and then speaking of kids and scary stuff, the week after that, you're doing some really cool stuff in the schools.
Yeah, so October for us, we call it Fire Prevention Month, and that's where we kind of, and for years I had been set up, and I call it the Safety Village, where I'd go schedule and go to each school, and we would work with different agencies, whether it was law enforcement, Forest Service, Game and Fish, the health department, Summit Healthcare, all these different agencies, whoever could show up to that day, and we'd set up little stations, and then we'd bring that many classes out, and we'd rotate those classes around to each of those stations. So they all got a wide variety of safety messages. And it worked really well, but it started getting to where it was taking us the entire month to get through all the schools. And that's also when schools take their fall break. And so it was very cumbersome. And I have a friend, Tracy Kozlowski, out of Tucson area. She works for Drexel Heights Fire. And she does something very similar, but on the stage, a big stage production. So I went down and watched what she did. And, I thought, man, my first thought was, how are you going to keep, because she invites so many different schools that there's about 1,500 kids at this production on the one day. And I thought, how do you keep their interest? But they did a wonderful job. They used some clowns, puppets, characters, just whatever, some interactive songs, things like that. So I thought, we can do that. We're creative, right? And so
Yeah, we got talent up here in the mountain.
You betcha. So, in fact, it was funny because last year was the first year we did this stage production. In our very first show, we kind of had a little bit of a run through beforehand, but not really. We didn't get all the way through the whole production. And so our first show at Blue Ridge Elementary School was really kind of our dress rehearsal, so to speak. But it was fun because Tracy was able to be, they have a house up here, and she was here that week, and so she was in the stands and watched it, and she goes, man, you guys were amazing. She did give us some pointers and tips, and talking with, because we also have student council kids and the kids from Students Against Destructive Decisions, the SAD kids, I used to call them mad, but because they were mothers against, but that
Drunk
didn't quite
driving.
fit. Yeah.
No,
So now they got away from mad. Now they're just sad. But a group of great kids that between the student council and them, and they had some dancing portions between the different acts, and one of the suggestions was pull a few kids out and dance with you as these safety songs are playing, and it was awesome. I think the kids loved the production, the teachers, we got it. And so we're doing that same thing again this year. We've got, a bunch of different agencies helping out. Summit Healthcare, Nexus Coalition for Drug Prevention, the Rangers. The Rangers are coming. They're going to feature Eddie Eagle is going to be there talking about gun safety. We're going to, of course, the fire guys and we got the Forest Service, Rex Thompson there at the Forest Service. We got Nancy and Diane that work for Game and Fish. So we're going to have a good variety of some more safety messages. And so now instead of taking a whole day's, the whole month to go to all these different schools, we're
It's
actually
all in one.
Yeah, we're doing it on the auditorium. And of course, we're limited to the size of our auditorium, so we have to do like Blue Ridge. We're actually doing 3 different shows. Shola they've got a larger auditorium, so we'll do 2 shows there.
And you were talking about how like homeschoolers can also get in on this, charter schools.
Exactly. So since we're kind of splitting these up a little bit, it's going to leave room so that charter schools and these schools that aren't associated directly with them, we can invite them and they can show up to whichever show fits their schedule and stuff. And so we're projecting to see probably close to 4,000 students.
Wow, nice.
In 4 days, So like the 28th, we're going to go be at Snowflake Taylor Schools. The 29th will be at Sholo Schools. 30th will be at Blue Ridge Schools, and then we're actually going to go and do a show out in Vernon. And they're going to check to see if Concho can bus over as well. So yeah, it's exciting. It's fun. And seeing what kind of different characters and kind of be in theater.
Well, it's a great way to get the message out in a way that's going to be more memorable, I think, because it's like, I remember when I was a kid, it was the police dog McGruff or whatever, and he, they would talk about all the fire safety stuff too, but it was like, I just remember that, like weird presentation, right? But it's like, it was memorable.
Yeah, if maybe Mrs. Doubtfire might make an appearance.
Mrs. Doubtfire, who's that?
So, it's a character that got created, and the kids, it was interesting how many of them actually knew, because that's kind of an old video movie. But yeah, it's a takeoff of Mrs. Doubtfire. But they remember those messages, so if that's what it takes to make them remember and kind of apply that to their life, and if we can save 1 or 2 kids, to me that's huge. I think we're doing a much better job than that.
Oh yeah.
Affecting, and I know that these messages are going home, because one year when we first started talking about how long smoke detectors are good for, and that they're only guaranteed to work for 10 years, and at the end of 10 years you need to throw them away and bring in new ones. Well, when we
see, I didn't know that.
So there we go. You learned
Good thing you came on the show today.
So, and most people don't, because they push the button, it still makes the sound, but all you're testing is the battery.
Okay.
You're not testing how it senses the smoke. So that sensing ability is only guaranteed for 10 years. Now, granted, sometimes I've seen some of those older ones still kind of work, but is it worth? Those things are not that expensive, and so. But I had a dad call me up and said, "Thanks a lot. I'm mad at you because my daughter came home and we could not go to sleep that night till we checked every smoke alarm in the house, and they were all older than 10 years old, so we had to go buy new ones, reinstall them, make sure they work." I said, yes, our message is getting through, so getting stories back like that, and we do teach the parents through the kids. And it's and if we can do it in a fun way, even better.
Definitely.
So they remember those messages.
Great. Well, thanks so much for being on the show this morning.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you for letting us come on and share a little bit of what's going on, and hopefully the community will take a little time to relax and enjoy and smell the roses, and be safe out there.
Right on. Smell the roses. How about that? Well, I'm Garrett Moldrem with MOL Films. This has been Birdman on the Mountains Community Shout. I'd like to say thank you to all of our viewers on Sholo TV and WMI-TV, and to all of our podcast listeners, and especially to our sponsor, the town of Pinetop, Lakeside, for sponsoring this show, giving us all kinds of great memories and a place to live if you live in Pinetop, Lakeside. that's about it. I hope that you all have a great weekend. Remember, we produce this show every Tuesday at 10 a.m. At the Birdman Media building studio thing place right next to the hub. So come on by and we'll let you shout it out. And it's free and it's fun. And I don't know if it's going to be me next week or if Rob will be back, but we'll have a great time either way. And if I don't catch you around the mountain, I'll catch you right here on the web.